I came here today to talk to you about Happy Patch Day. Yay, things changed, but sadly, I am unable to do that. There was something that I saw today that I want to discuss with you. And I have my initial reaction, my initial emotions, and I'm going to be doing this video based on those initial emotions and reactions. If you know me, you probably know I try to be pretty level-headed. I try to think of all aspects. If you don't know me, you just learn that. So we're going to look at some information that we got today regarding the patch. And it's going to start, we're going to do two things. First, this is what drew my attention to it. Shout out to Kirallas, a great content creator, great member of this Marvel Snap community. Does tons of good, hard work to help people out to determine primarily bundles, I'd say, but Kirallas can correct me with anything else. That's sort of where I think of Kirallas is. Over on Marvel Snap Zone, they talk about, value of bundles in game. Very helpful, something that I near and dear close to my heart. So let's read the tweet, right? What are we talking about here? Not X to me, it's Twitter, sorry. Not sorry. Today is one of the saddest days in Marvel Snap. The new patch not only removed info about bundles, but also info about future spotlight caches. So now we do not get the bundle information from the datamine, and we don't get the spotlight caches. And before you say, well, why do you deserve that, etc., we'll get to some of that. Okay, we're going to get to that. Hold your horses, or stay in your seats, or hold on your butts, whatever you want to do. Only information, back to the tweet, only information about cosmetics with dates, as well as new cards, partially with dates, remains. Welcome to the darkness. Kirallas also goes to show here, and this will lead us to some other things. I might want to go through some of this. I know that we're not supposed to have this info in the first place, but now the opportunities for planning with the absence of official information are extremely limited. Decisions must be made here and now without knowing anything about what will happen in a couple weeks. So, before I get onto whatever soapbox page, etc., I'm going to get onto, I am concerned about a trend here. A trend is points that go into a line saying this is the way things are heading. We've now had two things removed from data mines, one of them being bundles. Now, obviously, we've got spotlight caches. So part of my trend line for me personally is that Marvel Snap, for all games that I've ever played, has the most, what's the right way to say this? The monetization model that changes the most out of anything I've ever seen. Being like, well, this is what we're doing. No, we're not focusing on that. We're actually focusing on this. The tokens matter. Tokens don't matter. Spotlights matter. Yeah, that's tied into credits. Okay, gold, you don't get as much gold. Oh, you don't get as much tokens, and it's hard for the buyer, the purchaser, to get a good handle on it. You know what? I also like that they can be flexible and change things based on what they're seeing. So, I'm a little torn there, but generally speaking, it doesn't give you much confidence as far as the future of the monetization model. Also, what we've had recently is now for the second month in a row, we get a week with 2 new cards in it. I like that the game keeps things fresh. I like that we have a new card every week. But this 2 new cards a week thing, I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of a lot. It's great for full-time serious players. I think for the more casual fan, it might be a little much, but okay, maybe there's some reason why. But it's you're just seeing these things. Something that happened prior to all this is what I'm calling gating the series drops. We stopped getting our series drops and we started getting them randomly. So it was more about, they're just, Second Dinner is going to share with us when they're going to drop something. It's just going to be a big bulk, which is great. Thank you. I get these. But that's another thing along this trend line. Also, we had the new system as far as card acquisition, which generally speaking, and I did a whole bunch of stuff on this, Lauren, Quinez, all these people did different reviews of the system. And there was a certain threshold that was like, once it hits that threshold, it's not as good. And it seems like they've gone to the upper end of that threshold line where it's not necessarily as good. And we still don't know because we don't know how often series drops are going to have. So we had that change. And then last but not least, the never-ending discussion of buffs and nerfs of new cards shortly after their releases. Now, I did a video a while back talking about the numbers there, and really they were about equal as far as buffs and nerfs. But even though that's equal, the problem with that is it causes people to not be sure if they should buy or not, because it's like, well, this card's not very good, but what if they buff it? Well, this card's awesome, but what if they nerf it? So there's this just, you know, I don't want to call it fear mongering. And obviously Glenn and his team of balancers, it's difficult. Let's just say they have 3 to 5 people playing each other. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. You don't get a lot of, you know, data from that. So there's the possibility for mistakes. That's why I love the OTAs. Glenn is very active, so I don't want to hate on him and his team. I think they're doing generally a decent job. But that's still a concern. Regardless of that, it's still a concern. So that brings us back to where we're at today with the no longer having these spotlight caches in there. Obviously, I do graphics. I think generally speaking, certainly there is a aspect of this that hurts content creators who make these things. But you know what? That's not really the end of the world. Content creators, if you're good, can make content over anything. I played a game, Marvel Future Revolution, that literally had no new content, barely ever. And I did a video every single day, every day for a while. And I was one of the few people doing it. I just held on hoping it would revive. It didn't. This is my 3rd Marvel mobile game. I've seen a lot of different things, and I am concerned, to say the least. And my question for you, and I'd love for you to share below, and if you've made it this far in the video, please consider hammering down the like button. But what I want to know from you is, how do you feel about this? Do you even care? Do you care? Should I mean, is my whole trending thing that I'm doing, is it like nobody cares? Am I the only one in a corner here being like, why are you guys doing this? This isn't fair to the people of, you know, Marvel Snap. They need to be able to plan. Because I've typically been like, look, it makes sense. Just chill, everybody, you know, whatever. Who cares that the data mine information changes, which I still stand firm on. I do not care if data information changes because it's subject to change. That's how it works. But I'd still like to know from you below. So I said I was going to talk about not having this information because Kirallas mentions it, and I know other people talk about this. I call BS not to Kirallas, but just this concept in general is, you know, yes, the game, the developers and whatever can choose whatever they want to do. So yes, in that regard, that's going to be the case. But almost all games are able to be data mined at some point. They have information in there. You get it. You know, it's always subject to change. Every game I can ever think of has had data mined information in it that people go look, and it's fun to talk about and, you know, think about and, you know, plan for the future. But I think for me, the thing that, all of that aside, the problem I have with a lot of this is it's all leaning into FOMO, fear of missing out, which is a sales tactic, arguably a predatory sales tactic, to get people to buy something because they don't know if something's going to be as good or if anything better is going to ever come along. I don't like that. I understand it's a good sales category, but I don't know. There's something in my heart of hearts that doesn't want to always sell into the evil of doing that to people. Like, how about just giving me a good offer and give me something that's worth my money and not preying on my fear? There's way too much of that crap. I hate it. And I'm not just talking about in gaming. I'm talking about in the world, talking about in the United States, everywhere. It really bothers me. So I'm a passionate individual, so I can't sell my soul for things like that. I can't. So I don't know. And I do want to say this too. Second Dinner might bring these back. We don't know. We've got no official thing from them. I've asked, hey, can we get word on this at this point? I understand data mine, you know, it's not something to be discussed, but there's clearly been a discussion at this point, and there's been reasoning for why not to do this. So I'd like to know, you know, and, you know, Brad here says that it's only a matter of time before other things are removed, which might be right. And Taro Bang, this is horrible. How far ahead can we even see now? Do contents of the month drop altogether? So I want to talk about that for a second. We can't see anything, nothing. It is literally, and I'm going to go to Snap.fan here in a second. The only thing we can see is what Kirallas is saying here. Information about cosmetics, dates, and new cards and dates. So switching over to our friends over at Marvel, let's see, hold on, we're going to pull it up here. WolverSNAP.fan. We are going to show, they've got an article, which typically is a great article to use. Shout out to these guys. I'll link this in the description below. I highly recommend, go check it out. Give them some love. Sank, I'm going to call him Sank Tanglia. It does a lot of work for data mining. And this is like, honestly, this is the Marvel Snap God's work of the people to get this information out there. So it's awesome. I would love to be sitting here talking about these cards. I'll do it another day. But right now, I'm just not into it because I can't. There's all this cool stuff. There's these new cards. Snap it if you want to see it. I'll talk about it later. new updated cards, new information, which, yay, the patch, you know, whatever, is changing some other things. But again, I'm not talking about that. Personalized bundles. Okay, that's what it says. Nothing information. There's some bundle information for February here, which looks like it might be coming up. We've got Baron Zemo. We've got locations. New Conquest variant. Bast. Awesome. We know that. And then at that point, goes into April of guessing what the spotlights are based on dates. These might be right. These might be way off. I mean, obviously we'll know like when the new card comes. So you can say, well, do you want Red Hulk or not? Maybe. But, you know, the other cards in there might typically be a factor. You know, I mentioned for some stuff for maybe a more casual fan that Supergiant might be a card you want to wait on. Well, it's good because you just get it in a week where it's, you know, White Widow, and maybe you'll get also Supergiant because that's a good week. You know what I mean? And High Evo. It's a good week for you to pull so that you can use your spotlights wisely. Again, we just don't know if these are right or wrong. We don't. There's new ultimates, new variants, etc. So again, I am really happy that Sank does this. It's awesome. The new album stuff's out. Again, I'm happy about seeing this stuff. Card backs, cool titles, whatever. But the thing that is really sort of driving me nuts is this thing about, you know, them removing the stuff from data mines. I just, you tell me, is this acceptable to you? You know what? And if everyone's cool with it, I'll still how I feel, but I'm not gonna like, and not that I'm gonna try to push, you know, Second Dinner to change it, but you know, I'll bring it up. I want to say something to them, but if I'm literally shouting in a corner, everyone's looking at me like I'm a weirdo for that reason, not for the actual reason of me being a weirdo, but for that reason, then you know, I'm not gonna do it. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my energy. I can move on. You know, I'm not. I don't need stuff like that in my life if it's not as good, whatever. But a lot of the stuff that I've been seeing is pretty people, you know, wanting to plan ahead, all that sort of thing. And again, they've taken it away so you can't even see in February. So what we have in February might change. I don't know. So I'm annoyed. I think this is leaning into the predatory tactics. This video is a little bit longer than what I wanted it to be. I was trying to keep it shorter, but I can't help myself. So let me know what your thoughts are below. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to check out the Discord, it's linked in the description below. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.